There's a number of questions. As usual, time is limited. I will ask in accordance with the votings that you guys have done. I do believe in as long as the question is sensible. So the first question, as you can see, is a very sensitive one. And I'm going to rephrase it for the online audience that's listening in. That somebody is saying that they've been struggling with lusts and desires and temptations, and they are not successful in living the life that they want to live. So they've been trying for years, and basically they do feel very demoralized. Please answer this question, that what should we do? Very honest question, a very raw question, a very necessary question. Much can be said very quickly. First and foremost, لا تيأسوا من رحمة الله لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Never give up hope of Allah's mercy. Your fallibility should never impact your belief in Allah's perfection and infallibility, right? Your shortcoming should never shake your iman in Allah's forgiveness. The two are separate things. You are human, Allah is divine. So you acknowledge your shortcoming and affirm Allah's perfection. Point number one. Point number two, never stop trying to be better. Understand your salvation is not in perfection, but in your attempt at perfection. Memorize this point. Your salvation is not in perfection, because if Allah wanted you to be perfect, He wouldn't have created you. Angels already exist. Your salvation is not in perfection. You will never achieve perfection. Your salvation is in your attempt. You never give up. And take the example of the guy who killed 99 people, and still he kept on trying. Without a doubt, in my mind, this guy is a psychotic, without a doubt. I mean, you don't kill 99 people and you're normal, right? And on the day of judgment, he'll have to answer for the hasanat that he's done for that. But in his normal, non-psychotic, time frames, he would turn to Allah. And in turning to Allah, there's a genuine regret. His, madness, whatever, if we caught him in this world, we deal with him like a criminal. In the eyes of Allah, that sincerity was worth something. Brothers and sisters, you're dealing with your urges, your desires, your interactions, your porn, whatever. It's not anywhere near the guy who killed 99 people. So be gentle on yourselves. If Allah could forgive him, wallahi, you are forgiven if you turn to Him, if you turn to Allah constantly. So keep on trying. And then one other point, well, multiple points I can give. Incentivize your guilt to be productive for the ummah. Because shaitan, listen to me, wants you to use your guilt to withdraw and to not do something for the ummah. Shaitan succeeds when you withdraw. If you feel guilty and you're like, because I am committing these sins, I'd better do something I wouldn't otherwise do. Let me go and give some charity. Let me find some orphan somewhere. Let me volunteer in some capacity in the masjid. Clean the halls. Do something you wouldn't do otherwise, right? Incentivize your guilt to do something productive. You've won, shaitan has lost. And you never know. Perhaps that deed of cleaning the hall will be much more precious to Allah than 1,000 of your lapses. That one deed, just like the prostitute who fed that dog. This is the classic example for you. A lifetime of sins, but one deed that only Allah was aware of. She felt guilty and she this is a hot day, I'm dying of thirst, let me feed this dog here. And Allah forgave a lifetime of sins. Wallahi, you are better than that, if you keep on doing good deeds, okay? Final point I'll say, and that is, listen, I do genuinely feel for your generation. I mean, me personally, I thank Allah that I was raised in a generation that did not have the internet. It did not have this reality. I have done enough studies and listened to enough TED Talks to realize this is a crisis of your generation that humanity has never faced. The New York Times, subscribe to the New York Times, and The Economist and a few others, you should subscribe to them. The New York Times had an op-ed 2 days ago. The New York Times just reminded me of this question that I forgot the title, but it was basically like, it's time we talked about the dangers of porn. And the whole op-ed was like, we're ignoring this, pretending it doesn't affect us. It's affecting the entire society. This is a non-Muslim writing for a non-Muslim audience, right? So don't think you're alone in this. People are understanding this is a problem. So don't lose hope. turn to Allah, incentivize for good, keep on trying. One final point, inshallah, it does get better and easier with age if you strive for being better and you strive to lower your gaze and find a spouse and live a righteous life. Then humans are humans. When you're 20 is not the same as when you're 40, 50, 60. So it does get better, but don't let shaitan cause you to withdraw from society, because that is a loss for the entire ummah. I hope that answers that question. Question here, again on a similar gender issue, no problem. I don't mind any question that is a sensible question. Somebody saying that they've come to the realization that they're attracted to the same gender and they are now very confused what is to be done. Response is very simple. I've given this multiple lectures as well. Number one, you are no less of a human, much less Muslim because of same-sex attraction. Your iman is not any different than the iman of the other person. Your attractions are not under your control. So your Islam, your iman is not affected, much less your humanity. You do not need to feel guilty for an urge. Having an urge, having a desire, makes you no less human, much less no less Muslim. However, not all urges should be acted on. So the first question was, the person is finding it difficult to not interact with the opposite gender. Second question is finding it difficult to not have gazes for or lust for the same gender. The concept is the same. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to criminalize you for an urge, but you are asked to control the urge. So if it is opposite sex attraction, then the controlling is done basically by controlling yourself till you get married and having a halal partnership. If it is same sex, in this case, depending on the level of your attraction, if you have both, which is the common norm, bisexuality, or you have possible attraction to the opposite gender, then find a spouse that inshallah ta'ala will help you, because achieving some modicum of peace and a companionship is better than none. However, there are those people that are absolutely not attracted to the opposite gender, in which case we say to you, Allah has tested you. Allah will reward you for controlling yourself. Your controlling of your desires is inshallah your path to Jannah. But we must be clear, you're not allowed to act on these urges. And acting upon these urges is sinful. And even if you act upon them, you're still a Muslim, but this is a major sin. Turn to Allah in repentance. Hide your sin. Do not tell other people about it. Do not justify it. Turn to Allah. You're welcome in all of our masajid and communities until you begin preaching to other people and justifying it. If you're selling drugs in the masjid, you're not welcome in the masjid. So if you're justifying haram, then you're not welcome. But if you're living a private life, nobody knows about it, I will advise you generically, turn to Allah, but it's not my business what you're doing privately. Meaning in terms of when I say it's not my business, I mean knocking on your door and figuring out what you're doing. Private sins are private. And if you have a private sin between you and Allah, but I will tell you, don't have a private sin. But it's not my business to find out your private sin. Is that clear? So don't let the extremists on all sides get to you. We have extremists on all sides. The moderate path, urges are beyond your control. Not all urges should be acted on. So if this is an urge that exists, don't act on it. And even if you do, don't tell other people. Ask Allah's forgiveness, strive for perfection, and try to find a halal way through a partner to do that, inshallah. Final question we'll do, very sensitive one, but hey, that's exactly why we're in this class. I don't have any taboos when it comes to topics, as long as it's sensible. Some of the questions are jokes or whatnot, so I mean, up to you guys, but act your age, guys. I mean, have reasonable questions. But this is a sensitive question. I'll combine 2 or 3 of them, which is that what do you think about working with governments and Muslim clerics have been appointed to positions by the current administration, etc. What are your thoughts on all of this? Listen, these topics, the general rule is you weigh the good and the bad. And if you believe the good outweighs the bad, then you are permitted to engage in that course of action. The problem comes, weighing the good and the bad is somewhat relative, and it is somewhat subjective, and it is somewhat ijtihadi. And it is because of this that you do not find me, generally speaking, criticizing people who make these decisions. My own choices are clear to all of you. This is my choice. I have to answer to Allah. If somebody weighs the pros and cons and figures that in their case it is better for the ummah that they get involved, that's between them and Allah. I have the right to disagree. I have the right to disagree, but I don't have the right to doubt their intentions. I don't have the right to demonize them when they have a track record of benefiting. The only time I will demonize, the only time I draw the line is when they say or do something that does not have any excuse. And the example that I've given multiple times are those scholars in other lands who have justified repression and tyranny and the murder of civilians, given fatwas to engage in massacres against civilians that are protesting. I'm sorry, there is no two interpretations there. You have lost the plot. However, generically saying that the current ruler is better than chaos, not because I love the ruler, but because fighting against him will lead to civil war, I might disagree, but I've never demonized that group of scholars. They have the pros and cons weighing it, and that's their perspective. The same goes over here. I might disagree. I would personally not do that, and that's my life here. You see that. Not that they would ever offer me, but inshallah I would never do that. But those that choose to do so, if their track record is overall positive and they're demonstrating love for the ummah and they have contributed to the ummah, even if I disagree, we should find an excuse for them and say they believe that position might benefit the ummah in some ways, and that's their ijtihad and position, and I don't have to agree with it, but I don't have to demonize. I can disagree. We disagree without opening hearts, without, making them into evil people. This is what I'm asking you to do. Look at track records, and look at overall agendas. Now, by the way, some people, their track records and agendas are pretty negative. I'm not talking about specific, generically I'm saying. Then, yes, the believer is not stung by the same hole twice. There's a hadith. The believer is not stung from the same hole twice. When you see track records are evil of certain people, well, then it's okay to, I'm saying certain people, not any one particular person, okay? So bottom line, this is an area that's very ambiguous, very gray, and to err on the side of caution is better. So I keep my tongue clean and I keep my heart as pure as I can. And my lifestyle shows you my own priorities and agenda, and whoever has difference, they have to answer to Allah. We have better things to do than to nitpick and criticize and demonize. Concentrate on yourself and your own faults, and even if you disagree with adab and politeness, especially to those whose overall track records are positive and who have brought much more benefit to the ummah. Everybody has weird opinions. I got weird opinions. Everybody does. You wouldn't be human if you didn't, right? So if the overall positive is more, bismillah, agree to disagree with adab. And with this, inshallah, we come to the conclusion of this semester. May Allah bless you all. I'm going for Hajj, inshallah, in a few days. I remember all of you in my du'as. Inshallah, I'll be coming back in 2 weeks, and we'll resume the class in 2 months, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.